You're sitting there, you're checking your bank app, you see the numbers, they look fine, right? Maybe they even went up a little bit since last month. But then you go to the grocery store, you try to book a flight, you look at the price of a decent truck, and suddenly those numbers in your app feel like Monopoly money. It doesn't make sense. The math isn't mathing. You feel like you're running on a treadmill that's moving just a little bit faster than you can sprint. And that's because you are. You aren't crazy. You're being liquidated in real time. But nobody is coming to your house to take your furniture. Nobody is sending you a bill in the mail with a big red stamp on it. This is the 2026 silent tax. It is the most sophisticated wealth transfer in human history. And if you don't know how the plumbing works, you're the one being drained. Welcome to WealthWire. We don't do the hype. We don't do the to-the-moon nonsense. We just look at the pipes. We look at where the money is actually flowing when the lights go out. Because right now, the lights are flickering. You've probably noticed that the headlines are screaming about a booming economy. They say unemployment is low. They say the stock market is hitting all-time highs. But you don't feel wealthy. You feel squeezed. That's the gap. That's the space where the silent tax lives. It's the difference between what they tell you is happening and what your wallet is actually experiencing. And today, we're going to talk about how to opt out of that system before the drain finishes the job. Let's talk about reality number one, the liquidity trap. It's a fancy term, but it's actually pretty simple. It's like when you're at a carnival and you win a giant stuffed animal. You think you've got something valuable, but then you try to leave and you realize you can't fit it in your car. You can't sell it for what it's worth. You're stuck with a big, fuzzy liability. That is what the modern dollar has become. The government and the central banks have figured out a way to keep the nominal value of your money the same while eroding what that money can actually do. They call it inflation, but that's a boring word. Let's call it what it really is. It's a slow-motion heist. Since the start of 2026, the velocity of money has shifted. The things you need to survive, land, energy, clean water, real food, are being priced in a different currency than the paper in your pocket. The elite are buying the hard stuff. They're leaving you with the paper. And here's the kicker. The silent tax isn't just about prices going up. It's about your purchasing power being intentionally liquidated to pay off debts you didn't agree to. Think about it. The national debt is a mountain that no one can climb anymore. They can't tax you enough to pay it back. People would riot. So they do the quiet thing. They let the currency melt. It's like putting a block of ice on the counter and calling it an investment. By the time you go to use it, it's just a puddle. And the worst part, you're still paying capital gains taxes on the growth of that ice block. You're paying taxes on money you actually lost in terms of real value. It's a genius trap. It really is. Reality number two is the digital dragnet. This is where it gets a bit darker. We are moving into an era where every single transaction is being scrutinized. It's not just about privacy anymore. It's about control. In 2026, the opt-out isn't just a financial choice, it's a survival tactic. Look, I'm just reading the data here. Always do your own research and talk to a professional, because I'm just a guy with a microphone and a lot of charts. But the data says that the more convenient the financial system becomes, the more expensive it gets for the average person. Every time you swipe, every time you click Buy Now, a tiny piece of your potential wealth is shaved off. It goes to the processors, it goes to the banks, it goes to the data harvesters. We are living in a fee-based world. You don't own your movies, you don't own your software, and increasingly, you don't really own your money if it's sitting in a traditional bank. You have a claim on money. That's a big difference. Imagine you're at a restaurant, you order a steak, but the waiter tells you that you can only eat the steak if you use their specific fork, and that fork costs $5 every time you take a bite. That's the modern banking system. They've built a cage of convenience around your savings. They make it so easy to spend, but so hard to actually preserve. Because preservation is the enemy of the system. The system needs you to spend, it needs you to borrow, it needs you to stay on that treadmill. If you stop, the whole thing falls apart. So they create the silent tax to make sure you never feel finished. You never feel like you have enough, because the goalpost is on wheels and the wind is blowing it away from you at 20 miles per hour. Let's move to reality number three, the great misdirection. While everyone is arguing about politics or whatever the viral outrage of the week is, the actual architecture of wealth is being rebuilt. This is where the opt-out happens. You have to understand that the people at the top are not playing the same game as you. They aren't worried about their savings account interest rates. They're not looking at their 401k once a year. They are moving into hard assets and outside systems. They are finding ways to exist outside the blast zone of the silent tax. It's like when a storm is coming. The smart people aren't standing in the middle of the field trying to hold up an umbrella. They're going underground, or they're moving to higher ground. Opting out doesn't mean moving to a cabin in the woods and eating beans. It means changing the DNA of your wealth. It means looking at things that cannot be printed, cannot be diluted, and cannot be turned off with a button. We're talking about decentralized protocols. We're talking about physical commodities. We're talking about private equity and ownership in things that people actually need when the world gets messy. WealthWire started because we saw this coming. We saw that the traditional path, go to school, get a job, put money in a mutual fund, and retire at 65, was being dismantled in front of our eyes. That path was built for a world that doesn't exist anymore. In 2026, that path is a conveyor belt into the liquidation machine. You can't save your way to wealth in a currency that is designed to lose value. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You have to fix the bucket first. The climax of all this is the realization that the silent tax is actually a choice. It feels like a law of nature, but it's not. It's a system, and systems have exits. Most people are too scared to look for the exit because the system is comfortable. It's easy to just keep swiping the card and hoping for the best. But hope is not a financial strategy, it's a drug. And the come down is going to be brutal for anyone who didn't prepare. Think about the middle class 30 years ago. One income could buy a house, 2 cars, and put 3 kids through college. Now, 2 incomes can barely cover a 2-bedroom apartment and a Netflix subscription in most cities. That isn't a shifting landscape, that is a controlled demolition of your life's work. The silent tax has already taken the house, it's already taken the cars, now it's coming for your time. Because when your money loses value, you have to trade more of your life to get the same results. You're trading your hours, your sweat, and your moments with your family just to stay in the same place. That is the ultimate theft. They're not just stealing your dollars, they're stealing your life. So how do you actually opt out? You start by changing your unit of account. Stop measuring your success in dollars. Start measuring it in purchasing power. Start looking at what your labor can actually buy in terms of real-world assets. If you made $100,000 last year and $100,000 this year, but your rent went up 20% and your groceries went up 30%, you didn't break even. You took a massive pay cut. You have to stop accepting the nominal lie. The exit door is marked with self-sovereignty. It's about owning things that the government can't adjust with a keystroke. It's about becoming your own bank, your own energy producer, and your own source of truth. It sounds hard because it is. The system makes it hard on purpose. They want the opt-out to feel scary. They want you to think that anything outside the traditional bubble is risky. But let me ask you something. What's riskier? Putting your faith in a system that's $35 trillion in debt and printing more every second? Or putting your faith in things you can actually see, touch, and control? The 2026 liquidation is well underway. You can see it in the eyes of the people at the gas station. You can feel it in the air at the office. The silent tax is loud if you know how to listen. The question is, are you going to keep paying it until there's nothing left? Or are you going to take the exit? The door is right there. All you have to do is walk through it. Stop being the liquidity for someone else's exit. Get out now.